I'll be there for you. When the rain starts to pour, I'll be there for you. This is the promise the cast and crew of Friends made each other right at the beginning of every episode. Now it's 2022, and it looks like they've stuck by their word because, as it turns out, the Friends cast is still hitting the jackpot with the show, both in terms of friendship and money. Let's see how much they still get paid. For starters, what even is the annual pay of the Friends cast? Imagine making something so great that you reap the benefits when the project comes out and even for decades after. So great that you can choose not to work a single day in your life again and still lead a more comfortable life. Wow, do nothing and still making money? Isn't that the dream, right? That's exactly the kind of power the most popular sitcom of the 90s, Friends, holds. And after having revolutionized the world of television back in the 90s, the stars still make millions of dollars annually to this day. Hey, we can't begrudge them the number of times we were at our lowest point in our lives, and our friends managed to help us break a laugh or two we can't even remember at this point. But the point is that this has been our go-to comfort show for around 3 decades now, the one thing that stood by us even when everything else fell apart. And in exchange for all the emotional support this spectacular series has provided us, we've also managed to give something back. Our love and devotion to the show make the lead cast $20 million richer every year. That's a $20 million payday with absolutely no work. And as it turns out, this is only 2% of the overall syndication earnings. Yikes! The more we know, right? Moving on, how are they even earning that much? Okay, actors get paid per season or project in most cases. Then how in the world is the show earning so much, even almost 2 decades after its last episode aired? Well, we wouldn't blame you if you don't know the technical mumbo-jumbo of the world of television. But hey, it's a part of our job description to break it down for you. So, putting it simply, the cast of this timeless sitcom happen to have signed a timeless contract as well. The money they make is the sweet fruit of the royalties of the contract they signed. Some things get better with time, and the powerful hit of nostalgia that Friends serves their viewers ages like fine wine. WB still earns around $1 billion from the constant reruns of the show and the merch sold worldwide. As long as the sitcom remains our lobster in the television world, we will continue to make our friends very, very rich. Everything has a price, and making people happy can make you very rich. On top of this, quite recently, Warner Media spent $425 million just to acquire the rights to the show. Of course, as long as things like this keep happening, the show is bound to live on, and the pockets of its lead crew are bound to get heavier. Next, wait, what? There's a reunion happening? Where's our invite? Looks like Friends keeps finding a way to make more money. If you haven't heard, perhaps you should crawl out of the rock you've been living under and look around, because some time ago, the world was taken by storm when we heard that our favorite 90s sitcom might have a Gen Z spin-off all set to air on HBO Max shortly. From what we heard, HBO wanted to work on the reunion sooner, but then the deadly COVID-19 hit the whole world. Coronavirus became a party killer for the little reunion HBO was planning, but now it's back in the works, and apparently HBO is willing to pay per actor $2.5 million for the reunion episode. Oof, the only way we'd ever be willing to attend a reunion party is if we were paid for it. So it seems like a win-win for everyone in the pictures, but of course, especially for the fans. Let's look at where it all started. Hey, we must make one thing very, very clear. It's not like Friends has always had such smooth sailing, nor was the show born with a golden ticket. It was a simple sitcom that started as the literal brain baby of Kauffman and Crane. But before we knew it, the show became a cultural revolution. Not only did it bring about new and interesting hairstyles and outfits for us to take inspiration from, the Rachel Green aesthetic is still a super hit, by the way, but it also changed our conception of family, love, friendship, and what life could look like in your 20s. No one could have even imagined the heights the show would reach when starting. The actors were paid a mere $22,500 per episode, and yes, for most of us, that's still a huge sum, but if you were to compare it to the $1 million per episode deal that the leading actors signed on during the show's final season, wow, $1 million per episode? That's more than people make for entire TV shows. This is more than any actors have earned with even some of the newer projects. The climb was steady. At one point, the cast was even paid disproportionately, but they stuck by the spirit of friendship and demanded equal pay. And that's what makes them so great, you know? They never forget to be friends at the end of the day. Up next, Matthew Perry needed his character to grow up. Imagine being stuck in a character's body that seems to be aging physically, but over almost a decade, the personality remains the same. Now you tell us, could it be more annoying than this? Playing a character that essentially never grows? To keep things interesting and realistic, the characters and their personality features must also continually change. In addition to the cast remuneration, the audience tends to develop certain expectations. When a show runs for that long, we start seeing characters not as people, but as caricatures. That's exactly what happened with this golden TV show. Monica became known as the obsessive one. Chandler was the funny, sarcastic guy who would enunciate words at the wrong time. And Joey was the one whose brain worked a little slow, but he always managed to melt our hearts with a casual, "How you doing?" Rachel was the newly poor rich girl, and Ross was, well, Ross. But imagine had all these characters stayed the same throughout the series. Imagine if Rachel remained spoiled and shallow, and Ross never broke out of his self-pity cycle. Oh, wait, he didn't. We would surely have missed out on seeing some interesting character development. As the show grew, we grew with it, and as we grew, we needed to see the characters grow too. Let's look at what changes Perry made to Chandler. Listen, folks, if we were so attached to and invested in the characters, the people playing them would surely develop a bond with their on-screen alter egos. And as much as Perry loved the guy he was playing on screen, to the point that he almost became him, even in real life, he hated having to play and replay the same old tropes. That is perhaps what motivated him to run to the writer's room and beg them to let him let go of the constant rerunning theme of Chandler stressing on certain words, like the B in "Could it be more annoying?" Because quite frankly, he was getting sick of it. He felt the character was trapped in a pattern and needed to break him out of it. He also kind of just didn't enjoy doing it anymore. And hey, can we blame him? It must genuinely suck to constantly have to speak in that cadence. We can't do it for a day. Imagine being told you have to do it for a decade? Lastly, why was this change crucial for Chandler? Perry may not have known it back then, nor did the show's writers, but this small, seemingly insignificant change ultimately had the butterfly effect when it came to opening the room for Chandler's personal development. If his character had stayed the immature, funny, and avoidant guy who ran from every tricky situation, we would never have gotten the chance to see him grow as a husband and later as a father. It was crucial that as Chandler aged, he became a little more mature. His character served more than just comic value in the show. Breaking this pattern became a breakthrough for Chandler in terms of us seeing him a little more seriously as a fully fleshed out person and not just a jokester. So Perry's gut made him make the right call for the sake of everyone's beloved Chandler. And on that note, it's a wrap for today. What are some of your favorite moments on the show? Let us know in the comments below. If you like this video, don't forget to subscribe. See you next time.